Well, hello, happy Melbourne Cup Day to you. Always a wonderful day on the Australian sporting calendar, and of course, an international event in many ways, with so many of the horses coming from overseas to compete in, well, it might not be the richest race in the country anymore, but it's certainly still the premier race and a very big day, which gets a lot of people interested in racing who might not otherwise be, so that's always a good thing. So, happy Melbourne Cup Day to you. Now, I have some tips for you. Firstly, though, we'll have a quick look at some details about today's race. And of course, it is Flemington Race 7 at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. As always, it's over 3,200 metres. We're looking at a good track today, rated a good 4, and the rails out 2 metres. Now, we're down to 23 runners at the time of recording this. We have had one scratching. That's number 10, Athabaskan. But apart from that, pretty much plain sailing. A nice sunny day by the looks of it, 26 degrees. The maximum temperature probably looking at about 24 degrees at race time. Now, a lot of you aren't in Australia watching this video, so the time is important. 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in Australia, and a lot of time zones in Australia right now with daylight saving. If you're in New Zealand, it'll be at 5 p.m. If you're in the UK, it's at 4 a.m. That's also UTC. So if you're in another country, good reference point there, 4 a.m. UTC. And 11 p.m. US Eastern Time. So I dare say Joe and Troy will still be calling the fourth quarter of Monday Night Football when the race starts. And now on to my tips. Now I've got a few tips of my own. I've also run the race through the ANZ Analyser to see what it thinks based on some criteria that I've put in place. And I will put a link in the description below to the ANZ Analyser because it can be a very useful tool for analysing races based on your own set criteria and finding what you think should be a decent chance or maybe no chance at all. I've got one of those for you coming up. So my tips to start with, and my top selection here is number 13, One Smooth Operator. Won the Geelong Cup at its last start. I thought it was a really good run. It is a 2,400 metre race, a slight question mark on the distance, whether the extra 800 metres here might be an issue, but it's the Melbourne Cup. I have that question mark over every horse in the Melbourne Cup, so not too concerned about that. One Smooth Operator's had some really good recent form, so that, as far as I'm concerned, it is my top selection for the race. Can't look past number 1, Vauban, as my second selection. It's just a proven horse, it really is. That said, I'm worried about the weight. It is the top weight, it's carrying an awful lot of weight. I just think the weight's going to be too much over that distance. Still rated as a decent chance to run a place. Maybe an each-way bet, probably more of a place bet. One Smooth Operator, I'd be happy to go each way. I think a good chance of winning, but certainly a chance of running a place as well, especially when you've got 23 horses. And as an outside chance, number 14, Zardozi. It's good over long distances. Can't really say much more than that. Not too keen on its recent form, but it is a proven runner over long distances, and sometimes that's what you need. Given we're having sunny weather today, I don't think we're going to have much in the way of upsets and surprises, so I wouldn't be looking too far outside of maybe the top 5 or 10, but I think Zardozi certainly has a good chance, and it's certainly in that top portion of the field, so I think definitely a good chance there. Now, the ANZ Analyser has given me some interesting options. On the backing side, didn't like any of them. This is running through my preferred system, which uses a few metrics based on form, based on jockey-trainer combination, based on Sky ratings as well. I don't like the Sky ratings, so I if the Sky ratings like something, I generally don't. The map, number 23, is the closest I came to finding something to back. It's got a really good jockey-trainer combination. The form rating's a bit of a problem there. It's not liked by Sky's ratings though, so who knows, maybe it is a good one. To lay, the ANZ Analyser wants to lay Buckaroo. It is the top pick of the Sky ratings, which to me is usually a bad sign. If you're watching Sky Racing, just keep an eye out. If David Gately and them if they start picking this horse, jump on and lay it straight away. They're usually the kiss of death. That said, my selection criteria for this with the Sky ratings, if the horse is the top of the Sky ratings, I'll lay it if it's paying $4 or more. Currently, Buckaroo is paying $7. So certainly currently fitting the criteria to lay. Now that brings me to the next question. It's one I get asked pretty much every year. Where can I watch the Melbourne Cup? And that is a very good question, especially this year, because once again the broadcast rights have changed. So this year, Tabcorp have bought up the rights mainly so they can limit their betting competitors from being able to advertise during the race. As part of the deal, they had to on-sell rights to one of the major free-to-air networks, and Channel 9 were the lucky recipients of that. So Channel 9, the main free-to-air broadcaster in Australia, they're pretty much everywhere in the country. They're also streaming it on 9 Now. Important to note, Channel 7, as they do every year, they're running Sydney races today, and of course they tend to run races pretty much every weekend, so people who aren't used to working out where the Melbourne Cup is sometimes just go to Channel 7 out of habit and then wonder where the Melbourne Cup is. Channel 7 does not have the rights to the Flemington races today, so you might see horse racing there, you won't see the Melbourne Cup there. Make sure you're not watching 7 at 3 o'clock. Now, Channel 9, being the free-to-air broadcaster, also quite a bit more focused on the fashions in the field and things like that than on the actual analysis of the races. So if you want something a little bit more in detail, there's a few options. Sky Racing, of course, have the race on Sky 1, and that's kind of everywhere. That's on Foxtel, it's on KO, it's on the TAB app, it's on most of the bookmaker apps, and it's on screens in most of the pubs and clubs in the country. It's very hard to miss. Racing.com, which is owned by Racing Victoria, they do have broadcast rights, but they're a little bit limited to avoid being in direct competition with 9 and Sky. So Racing.com are allowed to air it on their free-to-air channel, 68 or 78, depending on where you are, mainly because it's a low bitrate SD channel. They can also broadcast it live in HD on their stream on their website, Racing.com. That's also useful if you're international. That might actually work for you. I haven't quite worked out if that's geo-blocked or not. They are, however, not permitted to put it on some of their other streams, so they're not allowed to show it on their Foxtel channel, on KO, or on 7+, because those are considered to be direct competitors to 9 and Sky. If you're overseas, there's some options. In New Zealand, it's on Trackside 1. In the UK, it's on Sky Sports Racing. The USA, it's on FanDuel TV, which I believe is on DirecTV and some of the other cable providers. They also have a stream. In other places, you might want to check your local guides or check your streaming options because, as I said earlier, Racing.com might work for you, although it does require free registration. FanDuel TV's website, fanduel.com/watch, doesn't appear to be geo-blocked, so you might actually be able to watch that where you are, and that does certainly appear to be taking all of the Flemington races today. And, well, if you can't get to a screen, you might want to just listen to the race on the radio, which is always a good option as well. The National Racing Service, comprising of Sky Sports Radio, RSN, Radio Tab, and TAB Radio. There's a station of that in almost every town in the country. The Sky Sports Radio website has details of the frequency of that for most of the country, or the TAB Radio website if you're in WA. 9 Radio via their capital city stations, 2GB, 3AW, 4BC, 6PR, also taking the official call, and 9 are also syndicating that to other commercial stations around the country. So there's a good chance that if you're not in a capital city, that one of the commercial stations in your town may be taking that coverage. SEN have coverage with Gerard Whateley commentating on SEN and SEN Track. There's a gazillion of those stations around the country as well. And also ABC Radio on ABC Local Radio in most of the country. Also ABC Sport on digital radio and online via their website and the ABC Listen app. Ultimately, just scan the radio dial, you'll probably find it somewhere. So, a wonderful day for racing today. I certainly wish you the best of luck if you're having a flutter today. It's always a Always a fun day. Always a challenging race with so many horses over such a long distance, but always a very entertaining day anyway. So good luck on the punt, and hopefully you manage to find a winner.